He is also a certified project management professional, PMP, from the Project Management Institute, PMI, from the US. PMI is the leading non-profit membership association for the project management professional, with more than 500,000 members and credential holders in more than 185 countries. Johnson is also certified Scrum Master from Scrum Alliance organization in the US. The Scrum Alliance is a not-for-profit professional membership organization created to share the Scrum framework and transform the world of work. Now I'd like to set the scene for Johnson's speech. The audience are to imagine themselves to be working professionals within the information technology IT industry, be it business owners, software engineers, developers or project managers. They are attending an open information system, information technology, IS or IT management forum. And Johnson has been invited by the organizers to present about a relatively new software development methodology called Scrum, S-C-R-U-M, that has been picking up momentum in Malaysia in the last 5 years. He will be giving a high-level overview of the methodology and provide awareness. Please join me to welcome Johnson Yip with his speech titled The Story of Pig and Chickens. The Story of Pig and Chicken, Pigs and Chickens, Johnson Yip.
Thank you, Mr. Organizer. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here today. And to lighten the mood of this particular forum, today I'd like to share with you about the story of pigs and chickens. The story begins in a very simple manner, where a chicken approached his friend the pig and said, "Hey pig, I think we should open a restaurant." The pig replied, "I don't know, chicken. What will you call it?" "How about ham and eggs?" And the pig answered, "No thanks. I'll be committed, but you'll be involved." Now, ladies and gentlemen, today I'd like to share with you a relatively new software development methodology called Scrum. The traditional waterfall methodology, or what we call the software development methodology, has been developed since the 1960s. And till this very day, IT organizations, project management methodologies, still believe in the SDLC, the software development methodology, and that is what we commonly call the waterfall method. But ladies and gentlemen, these days we are living in an information technology age. We have moved on from things that worked on paper, and we do everything on computers, and technology moves on so rapidly. So would you still believe that a tool that was developed more than 50 years ago is still applicable today? I see nods of heads. While this is relatively still new, it has gained a lot of momentum over the last 5 years, especially here in Malaysia. In the United States, the agile development methodology has been maturing. And in Malaysia, we are moving on to pick up this particular trait. Now, one thing we should know about Scrum, this agile development methodology, is that it's very simple. Scrum is actually very simple, but it is not easy, and I'll elaborate why as we go on. Today's outline will be covering, for this short period of time, I'll only be managed to cover about the framework, the key points about the framework, which covers the roles of the project team, the Scrum process, and finally, the artifacts. Now, the Agile Software Development Methodology, known as Scrum, is not a proprietary methodology. What it means here is that, ladies and gentlemen, the information is free, readily available, and for example, the Scrum guide can be downloaded from that particular site. Now the slides will be made available at the organizer's site, so please feel free to sit back and relax, and you can get this information for free later on at your own leisure. And I'm part of the Scrum Alliance, which is to bring more awareness about this development methodology. Now the idea of doing this, ladies and gentlemen, is that as Malaysia progresses to be a resource center, to be an outsourced arm, to bring in more investment from foreign investors, we need to have a method to deliver and develop products, IT-related products, software in a very rapid scale, in a very fast-paced environment. No longer can we take 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, or even 3 years to develop a simple customer relations management system, a CRM system. We need something fast, we need something quick, and we need to be able to be successful in developing that. Now the 3 legs of Scrum, ladies and gentlemen, firstly is about transparency. In a Scrum development methodology, all is transparent. No longer is the customer kept unaware of what is happening in the project. We allow the customers to constantly inspect the product. It's no longer after waiting 6 months, 1 year, like building a house. They say you'll be ready in 18 months. Only then you go inspect the house and find the defects here and there. This time round, we allow the customers or the product owners to inspect it as it builds, as it progresses. And lastly, adaptation. As I said, we move in a very rapid environment. Changes takes place in a blink of an eye. Changes takes place when governments introduce new regulations. Changes takes place when the customer wakes up and I have a dream, and they start giving you new inputs. So this methodology caters to the rapid changes that the world calls for. Now, the story started off with the pigs. In this particular methodology, there are 2 primary roles, and they are played by a few characters. The pigs, ladies and gentlemen, consists of the product owner. The product owner, ladies and gentlemen, is the people who gives you the requirements. Say, for example, I want to build a building of 5-story high with how many windows and so forth. So similarly, in the software development arena, the customers is what gives you the requirements, the product owner gives you the requirements, and they tell you it needs to have a login screen, it needs to capture password, it needs to have a login button. Simple stuff like that. And the product owner is the person responsible to maintain the quality as well as the release, or when is the product will be ready. The next is the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is, think of him as the leader of the pack. He is the person who will protect the rest of the pigs. He is the person who will remove impediments, challenges that is posed to the project team. Say, for example, the organizer is part of my team. He is one of the pigs, a very slim one. And Marcus, our co-chairman over here, is one of the chickens. The person who is constantly giving Belle a lot of distractions. I, as a Scrum Master, is to be in between the chicken and the pig to ensure that he gets to do what he needs to do while I control or manage the chicken. I'll come into more about the chicken later on. And lastly is the team members. In Scrum, we believe the team members are the best people to know what to do and how to do it. And they are the ones that are self-organized. They are the ones who are going to manage themselves. So there's not only going to be one pig, there will be a herd of pigs. Some pretty on, some... But ladies and gentlemen, they are the ones that manage themselves. They should know how to best deliver your product, because they are the experts. They are the ones that are going to do the work. They are the ones who is going to meet the commitments stated within the sprint. The sprint is one of the artifacts that I'll be covering. So let's move on to that. The chicken, as I mentioned earlier, is a stakeholder. The person who has an interest to the project, but not necessarily the one that is actually carrying out the task. The person that sits at the sidelines and tells people what it should be like, or giving their opinions about it. So for example, an inspection officer, maybe the window should not be there. But he's not necessarily the product owner, and that's just an opinion. So, in Scrum, the chicken cannot tell the pigs what to do. The product owner and the Scrum Master does that. And in the daily Scrum, this is what I'll elaborate during the process, that they can come in anytime to inspect. But it is the Scrum Master's job to make sure the chickens do not disturb the pigs. Let's get started with Scrum, and these are a few of the artifacts. The backlog, the sprint, the burn down chart, and the retrospective. How it works, starting off with the product backlog on the far left. The product backlog is your list of requirements telling what for example, a car, what does the car look like? You should have 4 doors, 2 doors, you should have power windows, manual windows. And you move down to the sprint backlog. The sprint backlog is what needs to be done, carried out in the task. And it goes to a daily reflective scrum. So based on the requirements, the pigs will gather in a scrum and decide how to go about doing the work. And they'll do it within a 2 to 4 week cycle. And at that point in time, they will meet every day to get the updates of how they're progressing. And within 2 to 4 weeks, they're supposed to produce something. So if say, for example, a door needs to come out in 2 to 4 weeks. This is a sprint backlog, which elaborates the items and how it goes. The sprint backlogs moves on to the tasks, and it moves on to the output. So it goes into a repetitive cycle, and as it should get less and less, and finally, this is the burn down chart to manage the progress. The burn down chart tracks the progress of the team. If the team is slow, it will be in this respect. If the team is fast, they're delivering more, then it will be better. The idea here is that as the team works closer together, they'll get better in time. And lastly is the correction. Ideally, if the team is slow, we'll try to correct the problem as soon as possible and not burn down the company. And the retrospective is generally the lesson learned. As I shared earlier, most of the time, projects take 6 months, 1 year, 1.5 years, 2 years. It takes too long to learn what is going wrong. But when through a Scrum methodology, you get to know that in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And generally, we will not come to this situation. After 1 year, that's the end of your career. So ladies and gentlemen, the difference between the Scrum and the traditional methodology is that in the Scrum environment, it is very team-based. The Scrum Master is very nurturing, and communication is very transparent. And ultimately, we try to break down complex processes that has been established over the last 50 years and give the customer what they truly want. Finally, how Scrum has changed the world. It allows us to achieve things very fast, achieve them cheap, as organized as possible. But if that is not possible, then we try to fail fast, fail cheap, undestructive as possible. You will not want to have a heavy loss in your investment, and you will not want to wait 2 to 3 years to know the project is going to fail. So ladies and gentlemen, if you wish to know more information about it, please feel free to approach the organizer or myself after this session, and we'll most likely, very gladly, share with you how this new agile software development methodology can revolutionize your industry and your company. Thank you very much.